So we're going to go through a couple of censorship stories here.
January 1st, Apple and Google are going to require your government ID to install a weather app thanks to this Texas law.
So, if you guys aren't aware, your heckin'-based conservatives in Texas have passed an even worse ID verification law, where now you have to give your ID to Apple or Google, you know, whatever your smartphone operating system manufacturer is. You have to give them your ID information, and the best part is the ID information gets passed through to every single app developer for every single app you download. Exactly, Fractured. Oh, lovely. Yep.
Utah and Louisiana have similar laws, and there is a federal bill that's been proposed to make this nationwide in the US. No, this is not a joke. Yes, let's talk about it and discuss what to do. All links will be...
Yeah, so they're trying to take it national, because of course they are. Why fix the economy or do something about the disaster that is Epstein Island when we can pass internet ID laws? Yep, dude, Texas is proof Republicans are as retarded as Democrats. Yep. Yep.
Well, imagine my shock.
So, yeah, we're going to talk about this. I might speed it up just a little bit, just so that we can get through it a little more quickly.
This will be in the description, but this is going to be SB 2420, and this is the Texas App Store Accountability Act. This has already been passed, and it's going to be effective on January 1st, 2026, but this applies to all apps. This includes weather apps, sports apps, news apps, everything. It doesn't matter if it's a calculator app, anything. So this is very foreign and new, and so we are going to have to fill in some gaps, but we do know a few things already about what this might look like. So again, this is for the App Store and the Google Play Store. It says once this law goes into effect, users located in Texas who create a new Apple account will be required to confirm they are 18 years or older. All new Apple accounts for users under the age of 18 will be required to join a family sharing group, and parents or guardians will need to provide consents for all App Store downloads, app purchases, and transactions using Apple's in-app purchase system by the minor. There will also be an API to help developers comply, and what they're saying is a privacy-preserving way, and they promise more details and technical documentations this fall. Now, you might be saying...
Which is insane, right? So that was the Apple side of it. Google has their own version. But it is just completely insane that now every time you create an Apple account, you have to throw your, you have to give them your ID, and then anyone under 18 has to join a family sharing group like this. It's like, we already have parental controls, just use those. Let parents be parents. I would trust parents way more than I would trust government to do anything. Sergey says, I don't live in the US, so we're not just going to be monitored by the NSA, but also China as well. Yep, pretty much. And they all exchange data behind the scenes anyway. Also, the NCIS, Canadian NSA. Is that what the show is? Is the TV show NCIS based in Canada? Huh. I'm going to do an errand in about a half hour. I'll be back. Okay, no worries, Sergey. Fractured says, your chat isn't showing. Do you mean like, the chat just kind of froze on you, Fractured? Because that happens to me a lot. I always have to like close and reopen the chat to get it to work.
They're saying is a privacy-preserving way, and they promise more details and technical documentations this fall. Now, you might be saying, Henry, it makes sense. Minors shouldn't be able to just download whatever they want on their phone. And I'd say, sure, that's why parental controls already exist on iOS devices, as well as on the Google side of things. This prevents you from App Store purchases, and it prevents you from installing certain apps without any kind of administrator access. It prevents explicit content, it prevents inappropriate web content, and it really prevents everything that I think most people universally agree is stuff that children shouldn't have access to.
So he's saying what I just said. We have parental controls. Just use them. They're very robust. Or even better, if you're that paranoid about kids seeing whatever, don't give them a smartphone. Like, maybe... this is a wild idea, I know. But maybe don't give your kids an iPad and expect the iPad to raise them for you. I know, it's a shocking idea, really. I know, it's a crazy idea. Crazy. But, you know, it would probably work pretty well compared to internet ID laws. Of course, we know that's not really the point of these laws. We know what the laws are for. But yeah, so yeah, it's complete lunacy. Probably got the abbreviations wrong, but yeah. Oh, Google censored you because he called Texans a bunch of retarded cucks. Wow. It was probably yeah. I think Google uses AI to censor things, so sometimes random things will go through, and other times they won't. So, yeah, they probably just saw retarded cucks and said, "Okay, we're censoring that." So is Apple or Android better for this kind of thing? I am an Android user, but everyone else in my family uses Apple because they're old. So I assume for avoiding the censorship here, probably Android because it's more open, although Google has been taking steps in recent years to make Google less open, or to make Android less open. They're trying to turn Android into iOS and cut out all the open source stuff. So yeah, Android is probably better, but you're going to have to probably install a custom version of the operating system and use stuff like F-Droid to get around it. So yeah, there's not like a practical solution for the common user. I don't know why my brother uses an iPhone. Yeah, I mean, my family are all like iPhone users too, so. Because it's just easier for them. All they really use their phones for, you know, calling, texting, and Facebook or whatever. Jerry, I wonder why everyone at once are pushing for this globally. APAC much? Yeah, that is an interesting question, isn't it? Fractured. Yeah, flip phones still exist. Yeah, but you know what's weird is that I think flip phones have become extremely overpriced just because everyone uses smartphones now. So for the rare people who want a flip phone, they just give them like an extremely high price. I could be wrong, but this was like last time I looked at flip phones. It seemed like they were giving them extremely high prices for what the technology is, just because so few people want them that they feel they can price gouge. Sorry, the Canadian one is Communication Security Establishment. Yeah, they all have weird names like that. Rumble doesn't give a shit about calling people retarded cucks. Yeah, but you can't say nigger either. Yeah, I didn't like retarded, but I did mind cucks since I got that through and had to alter retarded. Yeah. Dude says, I've got Graphene OS. Yeah. I have Lineage, I think, is what I'm using. Problem with something like Graphene or Calyx is that they only support a very limited set of devices. And I don't really like Google's Pixels. I want a phone with an SD card slot so I can put all my music on my phone locally. Jerry, I'm pretty sure Google lets nigger within context slide. Nice. I'm surprised you got it through, because whenever I try it, it doesn't go through half the time, but that's impressive. But Rumble doesn't, believe it or not. I have never seen it get through on Rumble. Yeah. Fracture's over on Rumble now. Yeah, you're right. I guess I should just hang out here. I have to watch other words. Yeah, exactly. And don't criticize Sand, New Jersey. Yep, I think cock is still censored. Yeah. Don't forget about the World Economic Forum. Oh, absolutely. I have never forgotten about the World Economic Forum. Climax, hey, how you doing, man? Good to see ya.
The more the magicer.
Yeah, so if you're here for the retro achievement stuff, that's going to be a little bit later. Yeah, exactly, Jerry. Climax came in at the perfect time. Yeah, right when we're discussing bad words. But yeah, so Climax, if you're here for the retro achievement stuff, that's going to be a little bit later, because I got a couple topics we're going to talk about. So right now we're talking about the new Texas censorship law. So it's the AI. So yeah, within context, yeah. Yeah. Some, yes, talking about flip phones, but you can get the prepaid flip phones for still $20 or $30, so it depends. Oh yeah, like the track phone type things. Although I thought track phones switched over to smartphones as well. But interesting. Let's see. Dude, that's pissing me off seeing the removal of SD cards from Android phones. Yeah, exactly. I know Samsung has begun that, and I need to hunt for other phones now. Yeah, exactly. So my phone is kind of on its way out right now. And I've been looking at new phones. I found like maybe 2 or 3 phones that'll work that have SD card slots. And so my old phone is the here, I'll show you. Sony Xperia 1, yeah, 3. Right, and this is an awesome phone. This is a really nice phone, and it has, not only did it have an SD card slot, but it also has a headphone jack. And Sony has, for, I guess because they just kept getting outsold by Samsung and everything else, Sony has quit the American smartphone market. So I can't get a new one of this. So now my only option is like some cheap Motorola phone, it seems like, which is incredibly annoying. Sounds good. Awesome. AT&T has had some prepaid flip phones and consumer cellular and others. Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, the GSM ones. Yeah. Remember when Samsung mocked Apple for removing headphone jack? Clippy remembers. Oh, yeah. Yeah, but now they remove all these features like the SD card, the headphone jack and all that because they expect you to buy... You know, the headphone jack is just so you'll buy their overpriced Bluetooth headphones. They get rid of the SD card slot because they want you to buy their crap cloud storage nonsense and use up your data instead of just looking at something local, you know, using your local storage. Or so you have to buy the biggest local storage version of the phone that they have. It's really obnoxious. Heck, I remember when we used to have removable batteries, and they were water resistant too. Like, you could literally open the back of your phone, take the battery out, put another one in. And when you closed it up, it was still water resistant. And you know why they got rid of that? It's because they want you to have to buy a new phone every 2 years. It just annoys the heck out of me. It's ridiculous. So, I remember how quickly those things change. It's also tiresome. Yeah. Yep. Sorry, okay, never mind, slow for a bit. Alright, cool. Alright.
So this feature already exists, is already privacy respecting, and functions pretty much on device of every iOS device out there. This law doesn't just destroy the privacy for adults, but children as well, and actually makes them less safe than the tools they have access to right now. Now it's pretty interesting because...
That's a good point, chat. If you had kids, would you want... If you had kids, would you want to be giving all their personal information to some random app developer in China? Because I certainly wouldn't. Yep, removable batteries, I remember those. I think they phased those out through making them more expensive, and then just made people go, well, I guess I will get a new phone. No, they literally just did what Apple did. So Apple was never... I don't think Apple's ever had removable batteries in their phones. And so they're just like, you know what? We can make more money if we just do what they do and claim, oh, waterproofing. And so they just started getting rid of it. Yeah. China. Yeah. Dude, Scott the Woz is a national treasure. Too bad he lives in Ohio. Yeah, Ohio is pretty...
Shit.
Yeah, it's kind of a...
Shit.
Hole. So... Yeah. In fact, Ohio is going to be the subject of one of our other stories today. Yeah, I forget the Apple side, that's perhaps true too. Yeah, everyone copies Apple because Apple's walled garden is really nice for sucking people in and just draining them of their money. So, yeah. Neo, how you doing, buddy?
Welcome, valued customer!
Catching up at 2X. Platinum's working on Ninja Gaiden 4 in conjunction with Team Ninja. Yeah. Yeah. So, that makes sense. So, that got me kind of excited about Ninja Gaiden 4. Even though I'm not really a Ninja Gaiden guy. Yep. Why I've never been an Apple person. Fuck that company. Yep. Oh, yeah. Never liked Apple. I don't care for Tim Apple. They censor the heck out of everything, too. So...
because both Apple and Google have expressed some concern over this. Apple's is a bit more subtle. Apple says, even if a user simply wants to check the weather or sports scores, which pretty much is a subtle call out at how ridiculous this law might sound. Google was a bit more direct, though. They outlined their concerns about the Utah law, which is extremely similar, which says this bill requires app stores to share if a user is a kid or teenager with all app developers, effectively millions of individual companies without parental consent or rules on how the information is used. That raises real privacy and safety risks, like the potential for bad actors to sell the data or use it for other nefarious purposes. Google even said a weather app doesn't need to know if a user is a kid. And it's true. Why does...
Now, isn't that interesting? That's what I just said. So, yeah. Why would they want to pass a law that forces you to send your personal information to all these random companies? Could it be that they want to be able to drag that information out of the companies to use against you? Which is what the government always does.
Why does every developer need users' ages? That's just irrelevant for 90+% of applications on any app store. Apple also put out this blog post not too long ago, which goes through their formal statement. And again, it's a lot more professional and that's a little bit less opinionated than Google's, but it still very much throws some subtle things that call into question what this is really accomplishing. This has really concerning implications. So Apple and Google are now going to have to collect and verify user ages through the App Store. So not only do you have to put trust in the companies to make sure they're doing things properly, but they both are building an API so that every developer for every app that you install gets access to at least some of that information, the extent of which is also a bit unclear right now. This includes tiny indie developers and massive companies, both of which could have poor security practices or good security practices. It also includes international developers outside of US jurisdiction, and it means every app you download means another company with your age data. And it also means that many of these apps can't actually be used with any layer of privacy or anonymity if it has to be tied to some account or some personal profile. Something else is that nowhere in this law do they mandate encryption standards. They have no requirements for data retention limits. There's no rules preventing the resale of this data. There's no penalties for developer misuse. Developers can do whatever they want with age data once they have it. I don't think developers are going to get access to like user IDs or anything like this. That's my hope, but still, that is still sensitive data to know about people. That isn't.
So isn't that interesting? There's nothing preventing them from selling all your personal info to, say, the government. And there's nothing forcing them to keep it safely encrypted or anything like that. Now, isn't that just interesting? Win for Google? Well, not yet. I mean, it's good that they're against this, but obviously they know it's just bad for their business. Yeah, we're fucked. Yep. Yep.
Please, please, somebody put me out of my misery. Have mercy on my soul.
Microsoft is allowing you to turn off their AI face recognition on OneDrive 3 times a year. Yeah, I saw something about that. I don't really understand it, because if you're turning it off once a year, if you're turning it off, shouldn't it just stay off? I haven't looked too deeply into this, but I mean, I don't use OneDrive. I don't bother with it. But it's very weird. Like, it's a very weird story, because you think if you turn it off, it just stays off. But yeah, people will fall in line with this so easily with just, oh, but I have nothing to hide, so why should I worry? And I just facepalm every time, bro, you're doing assault. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It is. And this is how they pass all the censorship apparatus, then all that nonsense. So, yeah, it is, you know, you get your heckin'-based conservatives, and they're always, you know, the super religious ones are always screeching about the quote-unquote mark of the beast. And then it's them who implement this in the name of, oh, we can't have kids see, you know, we have to we can't let the kids see anything, any boobs on the internet. And so they will happily implement the so-called Mark of the Beast as long as it falls in line with what they want. So when they scream about this or that being Mark of the Beast, it's hard to take them seriously. It's really hard to take them seriously. Let's see. Oh, Snap. How you doing, Snap? Good to see you, buddy.
The more the magicer.
We're just talking about Texas censorship. Texas passed a new censorship law, so. Let's see. Dude says agencies are using private companies to spy on us since they can't do it directly. Yes, that is absolutely true. The government. So this is actually a really annoying workaround. The government will use private companies, or quote unquote private companies. Most of them aren't even private; they're public companies. But the government will use companies as a workaround to the Constitution. So, if you remember during the Biden regime, before the Trump regime came to power, they were actually leaning on Twitter and Facebook and so on to censor political speech. Meanwhile, if you guys remember the PRISM program that Edward Snowden revealed to us like over a decade ago now, the government was using all these private companies to get around the Fourth Amendment and scrape all your data. And I think they still do it. We just kind of accepted it because there's nothing we can really do about it, because despite being the enemy of the people, the government still is in power. Okay, Microsoft has a tendency to reset your settings. Yeah. They're not great. Everything Microsoft does these days is half-baked at best. God, I hate Microsoft Teams. I'd rather have my nuts recognized than my face. I mean, if they could get at him, they would, Sergey. They could get DDoS if people keep turning it on and off. Huh. I mean, Microsoft, they should have enough servers for that to not be an issue at all. Sergey, I'd only used Google Drive on my Gmail on my laptop because of accessing huge files, but never on my phone. Yeah, so I don't use Google Drive, or I have, I think, Proton Drive because it came with my Proton subscription. Proton's great, by the way, if you care about like privacy type stuff, good for email and all that. I think I have a Mega Drive, which is where I store all of my like mods. So like when I mod games, if I want to share the mods. Since I took all my stuff off of Nexus Mods, I just put everything on my Mega Drive. And then other than that, I use SyncThing, which is a really nice tool. So SyncThing is a very, very nice tool that is private. So, and it's open source too. So there's no central server for this. You can put SyncThing on all your devices and sync whatever data you want between them. So this is a great way to, for instance, sync your music between your computer and your phone if you want. I also sync my 4chan shitposting folder this way. Gonna hang out here? Hell yeah, Snap. Hope you're doing well today. Oh yeah, I'm doing all right. How about you, Snap? I know you've been having a bit of a go at it with work lately, so I hope things are going well for you. Thanks to Nightmare, now I'm fuming. I don't know why my Microsoft Teams are turning on randomly on my laptop lately, since I used it once for meeting. I usually use Zoom. Yeah, Teams is a half-baked piece of garbage. It is probably the worst video chatting platform. Meanwhile, Zoom is Chinese spyware, so just keep that in mind. I'll keep that in mind. Okay, well, there you go. Doing okay, things have calmed down a bit. Okay, cool. Yeah, glad to hear it. Glad to hear it.
isn't always beneficial. And we are picking on Texas because they're a major state and they are going to have this in effect first. This is happening in Utah and Louisiana, and they've already teased rolling this out federally. And I cannot express the worst part about this is the fact that now that Apple and Google are forced to build the infrastructure to facilitate this, this is now permanent. Apple and Google can't go, oh, we can't do this because it's never been done before. No, it's done, it's built in, and now all another state has to do is say, hey, you already did it in Texas, you need to do it here too, and we already know you can do it, so just do it here, otherwise you're going to be going against any kind of prior precedent. And like I say in all our other content, if this starts becoming normalized in the US, that impacts the whole world as well, because now other countries can go, well, they have the technology built in the US, so we can also do it here too. So this is still a global fight, just like all the other concerns that I've talked about on the channel recently. This is also easier to expand the scope later. This might start with just verifying an age, but it can really continue.
Yeah, so it starts off in Texas and then Utah, and then eventually it becomes nationwide. And that's the goal, is to normalize this. And as he said, that is a good point. Once they do it, once they implement it, then they can't just go, okay, this is ridiculous to make us implement. Because it is actually kind of ridiculous to force any private individual or company to implement like a complex system like that. It's kind of ridiculous. What isn't Chinese spyware is the other thing. Yeah, it's either Chinese spyware or American spyware, pretty much. Deploy Zoom as a default for your college. Oh, geez.
Continue into a lot more things. What if apps start saying, well, we need to verify first and last name, we need to verify address of our users? Well, let's just expand our API so that developers have access to this information too, because this one person somewhere in the world lied about where they're getting their goldfish food delivered. And people talk about this.
Now, doesn't that sound familiar, chat? That is the slippery slope. First it's, oh, just verify your age. Next it's, okay, well, we need your name, and we need your address, and we need all this and all that. And next thing you know, you have to put your social security number in just to go online. And the government can track single thing you do on the internet. And when you say the wrong thing, oh, what was that? You said, what was that? You said nigger on the internet? Oh, well now we have to take money out of your bank account because you have your social credit score has been lowered. What's that? You want to travel outside the country? Well, you can't leave the country until you raise your social credit score. Because that's what's happening. Yeah. So tired of this bullshit. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it'll be Demolition Man, but even worse. Although I do like Taco Bell, as we established earlier.
About the slippery slope like it's something that doesn't happen, but it's already happening. This is HB 1181. This is from June 2025, and this actually had a Supreme Court ruling.
All right, so pay attention here. Pay attention to this, because this is something interesting.
And Justice Thomas said, quote, adults have no First Amendment right to avoid age verification. That ruling greenlights expansion to all apps. So there's now constitutional precedent in the Supreme Court for this kind of stuff to keep rolling out everywhere. That's how things.
Yeah, so that, did you hear that? Justice Thomas said that. That is your heckin'-based conservative justice. The guy that everyone's always cheering for. So Clarence Thomas fully supports Internet ID. And as he's saying here, it starts for not safe for work content. Then suddenly it's obscenity. It's content that the government finds objectionable or questionable, things they don't like. Oh, you want to see this news on, you want to see what's going on with Epstein Island? Oh no, you have to verify your ID, and now suddenly the government knows exactly who's looking at information that's inconvenient to them. Or maybe they know, hey, you looked at something a little bit strange here. Wouldn't it be interesting if we just had a quote-unquote data breach and just so happened to leak the information of this person who is running for government? So, you know, maybe they quote-unquote leak the information of a rising politician. And they say, oh, wait, you visited this curious porn site. Gee. So, yeah, it never ends well. This stuff never ends well. It'll be even gayer. Yeah. Yep. It absolutely will be.
Why don't you get some scented candles, nigga? Cause you gay!
I will support Taco Bell in the restaurant wars. I think it was the franchise wars, wasn't it? But yeah. I have to support Taco... Oh, come on. Thought I had this... Sorry, we got some Twitch spam here. How do I ban words again? Why do we even bother with Twitch? Nobody watches Twitch. Smash moderation settings. Yeah, there we go. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, really? There's no... Okay, here we go. For whatever reason, I cannot block just URLs in general, which is very weird. I don't know why. Yeah, it's very annoying. Let's see. Yeah. It's very annoying. Yeah, so I'm going to... ban. There. You're banned. I'm taking your coat. Sheesh. Man, do I hate spam bots. But yeah. Bot invaded, yep. Yep. Yeah. So, dude says, Thomas betrayed us. Oh, Thomas was... It's like, if you guys know Archcast, Arch Warhammer is what he used to be called. He said it once before, these people were never on our side. And it's the same case here. If you... and I mentioned this way back in my... back when I was doing the Amazing Comics videos, when I did my video on the Comics Code. We touched on the ESRB situation, and the lawsuit where Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, and the California government tried to ban violent video games outright. And Clarence Thomas, in the Supreme Court decision, he dissented and actually wanted California to be able to ban the violent video games. And this was back in, like, the mid to late 2000s, I think. So yeah, he was never on our side. He has always been pro-censorship. So it's not that he betrayed us, it's that we put our faith in someone that we never should have. Like people have already said, the UK has been the testing grounds, we're heading that way. Yeah. Yeah, in the UK, I mean, 1984 was set in the UK, so... Yep, it starts in one country, and then it shows up everywhere else. Oh. How did I not hear that one? Yeah, because it's an old story, Fractured. It's a pretty old story, that's why. So Jerry says, by the way, wasn't this the Marty O'Donnell case? I believe that's the Halo composer, right? Like he was pushing for it has to be easier to verify age. Altogether his takes were a total L, but that's what happens when you support a face, not a thought. Like, cool music, bro, but what the fuck do you know about privacy? Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm not familiar with Marty O'Donnell's takes. But, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. You get a lot of these, quote-unquote, based conservatives that pretty much just want to implement Internet ID. Like, you remember Nikki Haley, when she was running. She kept embarrassing herself, and one of the ridiculous things she said was she literally wanted the Internet ID. And that's what the conservatives ultimately want, is total Internet ID, total control, total censorship. It's just that they don't always openly say it, but now that they have their guy in office, they'll say it. But yeah, they're not on the side of liberty. They are on the side. They are still on the side of authority. They are authoritarians. They're just like the left. The only difference is what they want to implement. Yeah, what their end game is. So, you know, they want to implement their religious beliefs. The left wants to implement their quasi-religious beliefs. And to the point, wait until Trump endorses this horse crap. MAGA will think it's the best thing since sliced bread. Yeah, they already do. Trump already has complained about violent video games before, so he does believe video games cause violence. And yeah, he'll totally endorse all this stuff. He's all on board with this kind of thing. And yeah, the half his fans will just fall in line and do whatever. I mean, if you guys remember during the whole a few months ago when he was nonstop shilling for Israel and doing absolutely nothing to release the Epstein files, the more sycophantic Trump fans came up with a boomer meme calling people panicins, which was a very stupid boomer meme. And it was, they called people that for not believing that Donald Trump was going to keep his campaign promises. And yeah, where are those Epstein files? Hopefully he doesn't, but in case he does, he will. He will. I think they like those fell for it again hats a bit too much. Oh, they love those hats, Fractured. Yeah, the fell for it again award. Yeah, it's an award. Oh yeah, they love their fell for it again award. They fall for it, and then they pretend they didn't fall for it, and that nothing happened. Let's see, Retro Climax says Retro Achievements is hosted in the UK, I believe. I believe so, yeah. Same with Nexus Mods. I think the founder... Yeah, so I believe Scott is British, so that would make sense. Marty also shills for that APAC money.
Well, imagine my shock.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Does not surprise me whatsoever. Promises made, promises kept. It's such a meme and he doesn't recognize it. Yeah. Well, they act like the promises were made. I mean, for sure better than Harris, but the mark of the devil, the two-party system. Yeah, it's not a great system, but then again, it's hard to say what would happen if we didn't have a two-party system in this case. I mean, it's not like the libertarians could put up anybody who wasn't a complete meme. He owns the domain, yep. Oh, you're talking about retro achievements? Hey.
How things start as just being towards NSFW content, then it rolls out into every app on the App Store, regardless if it's NSFW, and what's next? Individual websites
I mean, I think that's the idea, is that this is rolled out to every single app on the App Store.
like we're seeing in the UK, smart home devices, gaming platforms. You're gonna have to age verify yourself to start playing video games. The UK might...
You know where they do that? China. That's not a joke. You actually have to verify your ID just to play video games in China. So they can track how much time you're spending gaming.
UK might be getting ahead of us here and giving us some good ideas. So Senator Mike Lee and all of the people who are really big proponents of this are saying it protects kids from violent and sexual material and online predators, which sounds knowable, it sounds reasonable, and all of us want that for kids. But why does this apply to weather apps in that case? Why isn't this just applied to NSFW apps on the App Store? And what these politicians and people who are proponents of this need to understand, especially when you write these laws without any kind of data privacy built into the law, you get situations like this. Discord has been having to KYC their users, and that means uploading IDs. If you haven't seen this video, I'll leave it carded and I'll leave it in a description. It's from No Text to Speech. This is from the recent Discord data breach, and the Discord hacker actually DMs No Text to Speech and kind of gives a little bit of a preview of the data that they were able to hack from Discord.
So you guys remember this? We actually talked about this last week. Discord has been in the UK, I believe, verifying people's IDs, and Discord got breached, and now all that data has been stolen. And this is what's going to happen to all your data after this crap goes into effect. Your data is going to be breached, stolen, and sold to the highest bidder. The government's going to have access to all of it. And your identity will likely be stolen over and over and over again. You think identity theft is bad now? Wait till you see when these services get breached. Gary Johnson was the best libertarian candidate, and he only got 1 million votes. Yeah. Yeah, and this year they basically put up a socialist. No, I meant promises made, promises kept. Oh, okay, I gotcha. He had a landing page for it. Quite a large marketing campaign. Here's off topic. Yeah. I gotcha. Let's start a new movement on Spill the Tea to the harbor. Yeah, I fully support that. Remember that the American Revolution happened over a small tea tax, and now we are taxed ridiculously, constantly, and we can't do anything about it.
And it includes government ID images, not just of adults, but minors. All because of laws forcing Discord as a platform to have to start accepting IDs and age verifying their users.
Yeah, so your kids' IDs are going to be stolen. So even before little Timmy is old enough to take out a bank loan, he'll have taken out a bank loan, and the money will be going to somebody else.
The hacker now who has access to children's IDs, he got a message on Telegram saying you can make more money selling the IDs. The little ones are worth more. So
this is what the government is doing, chat. The government is making it possible for nefarious actors to sell your children's data, your children's IDs. So when they say think of the children, this is what they're thinking of. It's not about protecting the children, it's about selling out your children. So that is what the government is doing.
So when these politicians are saying we're out here trying to protect kids by KYCing the App Store and forcing them to hand over private data about themselves, there is a very, very direct negative consequence to their safety. So this doesn't just create massive surveillance infrastructure for adults. It doesn't just allow the government and millions of corporations now to know every user's identity and how old they are. It doesn't just mean that now your real identity is tied to all your app usage. It doesn't just mean that it destroys anonymous and pseudonymous internet use. It also means that it keeps children less safe, because now you're forcing children to have to hand over sensitive information about them to a lot of people who otherwise wouldn't have access to that information. They present this false choice, which is either you give up everyone's privacy forever or you don't protect children at all. And this false dichotomy ignores all the existing solutions that already exist, that is parents' responsibilities to protect their children by utilizing those tools that are already built in and are incredibly safe and are built to keep children safe without harming everybody in the world's privacy.
Yeah, so the way the government sees it is your Heckin-based conservatives, they think either we sell out your children or your children are in danger, because, of course, it's not possible for children to be safe without the government. As though the government does anything but put people in danger.
If all these things aren't enough to make you go, whoa, this is some scary shit, I think the most infuriating thing is, what if your kid has an iPhone? Now you have to create an Apple account to join a family sharing group? Does that make any sense? It doesn't to me. Again, privacy-preserving alternatives already exist. Device-level parental controls, both Apple and Google offer these features. They already exist, and they don't invade people's privacy, and they don't invade the control of what apps they can install on their phone. We have screen time limits, we have content filtering, we have app restrictions, and we have no surveillance infrastructure required for any of that. Age verification laws, on the other hand, which is what all these politicians are trying to pass, lead to things like the Discord breach, where an age verification system is compromised and it leads to people IDs ending up in the hand of predators. That includes minors' IDs, that includes selfies with IDs, that includes personal information, and that very system that's meant to protect children now creates a database for people to target them. These laws are passed without a care in the world about these very real and actually happening risks that we can directly point to. These aren't made-up scenarios. This isn't a hypothetical. These things are happening right now because of other places and other regions that have already had to age verify people. 10 years ago,
And it's all by design.
children didn't really have to worry too much about identity theft. I don't think nowadays we can say the same thing if children are now going to have to upload their ID to a bajillion platforms. Okay, my outrage is over, so let's get into the what we can do section of this video. So, a quick overview of what happens next. January 1st, 2026, Texas law goes live. New Apple accounts in Texas require age verification. If you're a developer, you need to comply with this soon. May 7th, 2026, the Utah law goes into effect, and July 1st, the Louisiana law goes into effect. Beyond 2026, other states might follow. We don't know yet. They are kind of saying there could be a federal bill. And either way, the infrastructure is being built, and if it does become federal, that could be pretty permanent infrastructure. If you're in Texas or in any of these states, again, try to create your Apple or Google accounts if you're in any way interested in this. Otherwise, you can just forego them, right? But if you are a regular person who's downloading apps from the App Store, you need to create that before January 1st, if possible. Existing accounts might be grandfathered. We don't know. If you do want parental controls for your kids that doesn't invade or harm their privacy, use the built-in parental controls on your iDevices. They already exist. We also need to oppose these laws. Yes, they've been passed, but there's still a lot of time to act and see if we can make any change. So try to contact, especially especially if you're in Texas, contact your representatives, contact people in Utah, contact people in Louisiana. This is some dangerous stuff, and if it continues spreading, this could be really bad. So we need to oppose federal kids online safety acts or similar bills or whatever else they do. So stay.
Yeah, so if you can, try and oppose this. I know your politicians don't actually listen to their voters most of the time, but you know, if you can get enough support, maybe something will change.
Aware of what's going on, and please, 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 especially if you're in these states, contact your representatives. Share this information. Most people don't even know this is happening. It's just going to be a pop-up perhaps in 6 months, and they're just going to go, oh, okay, I guess I just do this now. So this affects everybody if it goes federal. So word of mouth matters. Share this video around, or just share the Ars Technica coverage of it. Whatever you think is most impactful for the people around you, share that around, and I'll leave links to everything I've shared in the description. Next, support orgs that are fighting this stuff. The EFF is doing a lot to fight similar things, and they have a lot more resources than any of us will to help fight this stuff. And finally, of course, educate others on alternatives. Remember, parental controls exist and work already. They don't require any surveillance, and age verification creates more dangers like the Discord data breach. And if any of you watching this are politicians, I understand sometimes it seems like the right thing to do, and we all want to protect kids, but there are some very direct side effects to this approach that we're taking, especially when the
Since when do politicians actually want to protect kids? That is not, I don't think that's ever been a thing.
laws don't have any built-in privacy protection or encryption standards or anything else to even imply that there's a downside to these laws. So my message to lawmakers is parental controls are already built in and effective unless there's evidence to the contrary, which no one has put forward. Surveillance infrastructure isn't needed to protect children. Age verification laws create literal honeypots for hackers. Children are less safe when their IDs are on a database, and you're solving a problem that's already been solved. That's my TLDR summary of my stance on this.
Yeah, exactly. This just creates new honeypots for hackers. And as I said earlier, we've already seen this happen with Discord.
Very concerning things, especially when we talk about the fact that these are very similar states that say that they're proponents of free speech and free access to information, and they don't want to be in people's lives. This is the literal definition of getting involved as a government in people's lives.
Yeah, I mean, that's the entire purpose of government, is to get involved in people's lives, is to screw with other people. That's all that government really does.
This is policing children on behalf of parents. Make no mistake, the current tools parents have is actually parenting kids, which is you have parental controls, you set the restrictions for your own kid, and you choose whether or not that's even an option. This, on the other hand, is not that at all. So unless people push back hard, this becomes a new normal, not just in Texas, but nationwide, and soon after, globally. People have been screaming for years about this exact thing coming to censor the internet, and it's fucking here. So it's time to fight now and get active.
Yeah, remember how they kept saying, oh, it'll never happen. Oh, no, they'll never do that. And now they're doing it. And now they're saying, oh, and it's a good thing.
And you can find all the ways to support TechLore, which is us, down in the description. I'll keep doing coverage of this as more things come to light. I want to thank you all for watching. And I have a video that is talking about encrypted tools. So if you want to see some encrypted tools, check that out.
So yeah, there you go. Texas has decided to be a bunch of retards. So, you know, conservatives are being conservatives, as usual, and censoring the crap out of everything and trying to implement Internet ID. So Neo says, would this also mean that all you would need to do is start developing an app and then you'd have access to everyone's info? I was going to say, not exactly. I believe what it means is you would have access to the info of every user that uses your app. So you wouldn't have access to everyone's info, but just the info of people who use your app. But I mean, that's still more info than they normally would be giving you, right? Yeah, nothing punitive mentioned if misused or mishandled in the bill. Yeah, because they don't care about that. That's not the goal of the bill. The goal of the bill is to completely shred your internet privacy. I disagree. Politicians only want to protect kids to make the future voters of their party. No, I don't think that's so much the point, Snap. I think it's more they want to quote-unquote protect kids to take them to particular islands and do certain things to them that they can get away with because they're rich politicians. And we still haven't gotten the files on some of the stuff they were doing. Yeah, exactly, Wingus. Giving me all your personal ID information is good, actually. I won't do anything bad with it. Trust me. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, so don't trust the government. Never trust the government with anything. Because they hate you. They hate you, and they just want to put their boot on your neck. That is entirely the purpose of everything the government does. Now on some semi-related good news here, chat. Let me, you know what? I think we got the music to work. So let me play the. Parents Television Council, scourge of broadcast indecency, files for bankruptcy. So if you don't know who these guys are, so they were best known for flooding the Federal Communications Commission, the FCC, with indecency complaints. In 2003, it was responsible for 99.8% of them. Oh, is it too loud? All right. Yeah, so the Parents Television Council, which was mostly known for flooding the Federal Communications Commission, the FCC, with indecency complaints, has filed for bankruptcy. So this is a group that pretty much tried to get everything censored. So they kept crying about, you know, the 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. TV slot had been taken over by risque shows, but like, I don't know what Melrose Place is, but Friends, which I never got into Friends myself. In 1998, they took out newspaper ads to drop support for televised filth. TV is leading children down a moral sewer, and they hated Family Guy and American Dad. So, yeah, and then they started complaining about Netflix and HBO. The group recently lamented that Hollywood sex scenes are more explicit than ever. Okay, I mean, that's on parents to parent, you know? But why is this really relevant? Yeah, this is like when Jack Thompson got disbarred. Exactly, but to make it even better, to make it even better, here's what makes this really relevant to us. So, from Niche Gamer, so conservative org that tried banning violent video games goes bankrupt. So again, this is the same thing. Parents Television. Oh, I guess now they're Parents Television and Media Council. But in addition to, you know, TV and movies, they long campaigned against games like Grand Theft Auto, as well as cartoons like South Park and Family Guy. Yeah, exactly, dude. Family Guy and American Dad weren't kids shows. No. They're for grown-ups. So, yeah, oh yeah, here we go. They joined a host of organizations in the 90s insisting that violent video games led to antisocial behavior in young men. Oh, and remember, Republican activist. By the way, I forgot to mention this. Established by Republican activist. So, yeah, remember, chat, your Republicans, they're not as heckin' based as they pretend they are. And don't let liars on the internet try to make you think that there was no satanic panic, that conservatives have never been for censorship or anything like that. Because right here, you have your proof. Republican activist. And same with Jack Thompson. I'm pretty sure he was a Republican. So yeah, the right does love to censor, and they will try to censor. And they've always been like this. It's just that the left started censoring and took over for so long that we kind of forgot about them. Yeah, so they tried to tie video games to school shootings like Columbine. Let's see. So, yeah, apparently one of the shooters was a fan of Quake. So, yeah, this group and its Republican founder joined with Jack Thompson. Funny, we were just talking about him. In attempting to get the government to intervene and impose a federal ban on violent video games. So yeah, they tried to get South Park and Family Guy banned. Seth MacFarlane compared the organization to Hitler back in 2008. That must have been funny. Oh, and isn't this interesting? During Trump's first term, representatives from the organization met with Trump to discuss taking action against video games. And I think this is when Trump came out and said, yeah, I think video games cause violence. Yeah, as they say. While the government did not end up banning games like the organization wanted, Trump released a statement after the meeting stating, We must stop the glorification of violence in our society. This includes the gruesome and grisly video games that are now commonplace. So yeah, that's your heckin'-based President Trump, who wants to ban violent video games. Yeah, so the organization officially filed for bankruptcy, but it looks like the founder left the organization, golden parachuted out, because now he's our ambassador to South Africa for Trump. He may have golden parachuted out, but the Republican censorship group here has gone bankrupt. So, after that last story, here's a little bit of a white pill for you. We just love to see it, don't you?
No! No!
Are you?
No! No!
Are you joking?
No! No!
Are you joking me?
Oh no! What happened? Oh no! How terrible! That's just awful! How terrible! Oh no!
Really fills me with a sense of warmth, pride, and childlike joy. American Dad and Family Guy. No, that's a really low bar for raunchiness. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's a cartoon for adults, but it's not that bad. Satanic Panic, there was some shit going on. They just used the attack on D&D and stuff as a cover for what was going on. As a distraction. Interesting. I'd be curious to know more about that. Yeah, exactly, Neo. Drunk driving is far more dangerous than violent video games. Why aren't they going after harsher punishments for that? Well, because drunk driving punishments aren't about controlling your thoughts. They're not about controlling what you can see and hear. This is. They control the media, they control what you think. Wasn't that D&D hate quite prevalent in the great state of Texas? Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.